Welcome back to Velohio, and it is day 3 of my co-vacation. My voice is coming back a little bit, but I don't plan on doing any riding today. Instead, we're going to talk about a ride that I pulled off a couple weeks ago. I was planning on filming outside, but of course it started raining once I got my tripod set up, so we're here just inside my dining room, and my potato masher is doing an extremely good job of holding this bike upright. Speaking of bikes, what is this monstrosity in front of me? Well, this is the Sundeal F1. That F does not stand for Formula One. It does not stand for the fancy one. What it probably stands for is the folding one. I bought this bike about 4 years ago, and I didn't pay much more than, I think, 170 bucks on eBay. Now, why would I bother buying a folding bike in the first place? What it opened up to me was the possibility to do these point-to-point rides. So when this video picks up, you're going to see me shortly after getting up at 5:30 in the morning to jump on a Baron bus headed from Columbus to Dayton, Ohio. You might be wondering, why would I ruin such a nice Saturday morning sleeping in to jump on a bus to Dayton, Ohio with the folding bike? Hopefully over the course of this video, you'll get a better understanding as to why. But one reason that I did it is this. Every spring in Ohio, we get a couple days a month that will routinely have 30-mile-an-hour winds coming out of the southwest, basically heading their way from Cincinnati up toward Cleveland. If you can position yourself strategically along the bike path, you can ride that tailwind just about as far as you'd like to. Now, I'm no fan of riding into 30-mile-an-hour headwinds, but if you position yourself strategically with the use of a bus on the bike path, you could ride that tailwind just about as far as you'd like to. So let's pick up the video with me getting closer and closer to Dayton, and then we'll talk about the spec of this bicycle a little bit further down along the line.
Off the bus. Like royalty, Bernice. Like royalty. When you walk through the bus, please use the overhead handrails, especially while the bus...
Buddy.
So you guys were able to see how I was able to build up the bike after getting it off the bus. Now, why did I even bother buying a folding bike? Why didn't I just take my regular bike on the bus? Well, basically, Greyhound and Baron bus will not allow you to transport a full-size bicycle onto the bus. I assume it's for insurance liability reasons. Strictly speaking, I bet they don't even allow you to take a folding bike onto the bus, but as long as it fit in my bag, I don't think anyone's really gonna give you too much trouble about what I'm taking on board. So let's talk a little bit about the spec on this folding bicycle. It does come standard with a 52-tooth front chainring. You might be thinking that's pretty large for a folding bicycle that's not necessarily meant to be ridden at high speeds, but you need that additional leverage to make up for the fact that you're only rolling a 20-inch wheel. There is no front derailleur, so this is a one-by system. In the rear, there's a 7-speed freewheel. It doesn't actually have a hub system on the rear wheel, and that freewheel is something that I had to search down on eBay. It's a 12 through 26 Suntour freewheel exchanged for what came as stock as a 14 to 28. And honestly, that 14 to 28 gave me pretty good gearing, but not with the specific purpose of me riding this bike on days with a tremendous tailwind. I needed that 52 to 12 or 13 tooth combination to get me up to those 24 to 27 mile per hour speeds that I would be able to maintain with that roaring tailwind behind me. As far as the seat post is concerned, it is just about the longest seat post I've ever seen in my life. But with that being said, at 5 foot 10 and a half, 32-inch inseam, I do have to set it slightly above that minimum insertion point. So if you are 5'11", 6 feet tall, this might be on the smaller side of what you can actually ride if you're looking to get it in an optimal position for you. I did install some Shimano SPD pedals to this so that I could ride my clipless shoes. These particular ones are an older model that don't have any degree of float to them. So one thing that I noticed when I was going on this ride is that my right knee was starting to give me a little bit of trouble. I probably hadn't set up my cleat perfectly, but with float in my other pedals, I had just never noticed. So I was a little bit knee out, foot out on the right side. Moving on to the wheels, we have 28 spokes on 20-inch wheels, cup and cone bearings. When I first received the bike in the mail, the cup and cones were over tightened to the extreme and there's very little grease in them. So I opened them up, put some new grease in, modified that tension on the cup and cone bearing to make it optimal, and they really roll excellently as they are now. They needed a little bit of truing, but really you'd expect that with any bike built out of the box. I replaced the 1.5-inch Kenda touring tires. Not that there's anything wrong with Kenda. I was just looking for something with a little bit more supple sidewall. There's not a whole lot of built-in compliance to this frame outside of the fact that you can fold it in half with the lift of a lever here. So you need to rely on the tires and that supple sidewall to give you a little bit of that vertical compliance that you're looking for. A supple sidewall is also going to give you lower rolling resistance. So basically what I looked for were the fastest BMX race tires that I could find. And I settled on these Tioga Power Blocks that are in 1.75-inch width, which basically puts you at about 45 millimeters. Just a couple aesthetic upgrades. I did try to color match the bottle cage and the saddle. The existing saddle was just a little bit too wide and too soft for how I like it. So this is a more of a budget saddle, but it fits the overall dimensions of my preferred road saddle. The biggest modification that I made to this bike actually takes place up at the cockpit here. Now, I know it looks like cable soup, but really this, I guess you'd call it the head tube or the headset junction, this can raise up really pretty high. So in the event that you don't want to ride it with saddle to drop, like I have it here, you can have those handlebars up in a very comfortable position. But what I did was replace the existing base bar, which was more along the lines of not really a mountain bike, but a hybrid flat bar, probably about 65 centimeters wide or so. I replaced it with a set of 40 centimeter wide bull horns. Now, why would I go do something crazy like that? Well, again, because I'm only going to really ride this bike on straight rails to trails paths that really doesn't require much stopping or handling or anything like that. I wanted something low and that would also extend my reach to the bars just to facilitate getting my body in a lower aerodynamic position. I wasn't about to go slap on aero bars, but you can get yourself in what I would consider to be a really good aero hoods position on these bull horns. So overall, because I'm trying to take advantage of that tailwind to just ride faster, this puts my body in an optimized position to go that much faster as well. Moving on to the brakes, this does come stock with V-brakes. The front brake seems to work okay, no real issues there. The rear brake is probably the worst brake that I've ever used in my life, and I don't know why. it just does not have much clamping power. I've tried to figure it out. I think potentially that shortening the cable length by cutting some of these housings might be helpful. It's just not really worth going through for me right now because I never really need ultimate braking power on this type of route.
Come on, Dayton, you're better than this. So much broken glass. Anyway, escape from Dayton. Feel like Kurt Russell. Just got to get myself off the city streets and to the bike trail. Bike route, baby. Oh, and we got a puddle. Surf it. Oh man. 20-inch wheels, 20 inches of fun. Here we go. Oh man. Wow. Yes, yeah, so like I said, we typically get this kind of wind after a giant storm or before a giant storm, so this was a little bit more than I'm willing to ride through. We're gonna have to find a way around, but that's what an adventure is all about, baby. I did not intend on testing the off-road acumen of this bike, but you know, 45mm wide tire. It's basically a gravel bike. If I can get across here, and that's an if. And I think I can take a righty. I think I can take a derecha right here. And we'll be money. Ugh. My God, that is gross. Oh boy, I might be looking at a major detour. Let's see what we have. This 5126 has been challenging me on the climbs. I didn't think we'd have climbs in Dayton, but at least this is the fun part. Hopefully I don't eject the bottle. Back to the street's going to work around flooding. Got about a mile, and then we'll intersect the trail again. What a wild sky. So I get a little downhill action here. I'm climbing the epic crests of Dayton. Who knew? Oh, you little folder. So we've hit the confluence here in Dayton. Hopefully I can start to take advantage of the tailwind, because right now I'm just pounding into the headwind. This is actually a pretty historic site. Not many people know this, but this is where Captain Picard played piano as Charlie Chaplin warped a gold bar in his bare hands. So to commemorate that, they built all these bridges, and I gotta say, I'm all the more happy that they did. So I'm actually supposed to be down there right now. I'm like, there's no path here, it's just grass. That's because all the pavement's underwater. But we'll work it out. Figure it out, right? I got all day. Oh, it's a little early. They're closed anyway. So about 20 miles in at this point, and I'm still yet to really reap the benefits of this massive tailwind. I'm kind of heading south still towards Xenia, so I've got this kind of funky cross headwind going on, and it's very vaguely uphill, just kind of a false flat drag. Since I've only got the one, I don't know, 16-ounce water bottle, I'm probably gonna have to stop several times. Here's some wind. And that might be a good chance to take my jacket off. I don't think I'm gonna have a happy medium because I just have a rain jacket. It hasn't been raining and it probably won't. But as per the function of a raincoat, it's not very breathable. And then I just have the short sleeve jersey underneath, so kind of wish I had a long sleeve jersey, but I'd rather just be outside riding too. Oh, this is too funny. All right, what do I got here? I could make some pretty good rice and beans, tomatoes, and sketty had I some boiling water. Ooh, mac and cheese with green beans. Could do a 3-bean stew. I think I'm just gonna keep riding. So about an hour and 45 minutes in, about 25 miles in, we're 6 miles out from Xenia, after which point we're gonna get that fabled tailwind. I did have a quick pit stop for a bathroom break. It's bumped my morale a little bit to lose the raincoat. I was really steaming up there. So next pit stop will be for some fluids, get to Xenia, start heading northeast with that southwesterly tailwind, and it'll be hammer time. What do you say, Captain? We get through this one? Now, as some of you know, I'm a current, former something triathlete. I could swim that, but I'm not going to. I think I'm gonna have to find my way around again. All part of the adventure. There are no roads to actually get me up there. I think I'm just gonna have to run across and see what the other side looks like. It should be interesting. So this just turned into a cyclocross race. Now, I know Matthew Vanderpool would have just ridden through all this, but I am not Matthew Vanderpool. Look at that, piece of cake. Now I know what you're thinking, 30 miles into a ride is pretty early to be hitting the panic button and stopping to get fast food, but I think I can go 3 for 1 here, refill my bottle, and use a bathroom all for the nominal price of a crispy chicken sandwich. So let's do this. I don't know, what's the move? Sure. What do we want? Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? You let your guard down for like 5 seconds just to get a chicken sandwich, and this is what happens. Get all this rain. Well, this is Xenia Station. That's the wind we want. I'm not going to stop because it's raining. I just rode myself into a parking lot. Oh, there we go. So yeah, let's go get some. So then, what is a point-to-point ride? Well, much like the name suggests, you start in one spot and you end in another. The main obstacle to riding a point-to-point ride is that if you start at your home, you're not going to make it home. So how do I like to coordinate a point-to-point ride? Well, I wish we had a train system in Ohio, but instead of a train, I get a rail trail. So there's a trade-off there. What we do have are buses. So we have the Greyhound buses and we have Baron bus. So what I found is that on a day that's particularly windy, like today, I can take the bus from downtown Columbus to Springfield, to Dayton, to Cincinnati, kind of however long you want to make your ride back. The prevailing wind direction in Ohio seems to be out of the southwest. So a day like today, leaving from Dayton, I'm gonna have that tailwind for the majority of the ride, really once I hit Xenia. What are the benefits of a point-to-point ride? Why would you want to do one? Well, usually in a training program, everyone's gonna have their long ride and their long day. Sometimes piecing and cobbling those miles together can be difficult. You can end up stuck in a rut doing the same route over and over again. I like to look forward to the weekend. I like to have some novelty. I like to see new things. I like to explore. So this is a great way to essentially cover twice the distance. If you don't have a convenient loop, it's a way to do 100% of your ride without seeing the same stretch of road. Of course, another way to complete something like this is to ride somewhere with your friends or family, take your bike along with you, and when they return home, you just ride back. There are so many great mapping tools with GPS computers these days that it's easy to put a safe route together. This is extremely convenient for me, just riding the Ohio to Erie Trail. It's basically just a 45-degree line headed northeast back to Columbus. Am I about to bash my chainring on this? I think if I try to jump this, I'm gonna split the frame in two. Oh, I'm such a wuss. Man. I don't think this frame could endure or suffer a bunny hop. So we're rolling through Cedarville now, which really starts to make it feel like home, because I actually would ride here to do a century, which means it's approximately, I don't know, 48 miles, 50 miles to home at this point. I will be headed to downtown, so it should be just a little bit shorter. But this is where the wind is really going to start to help. We're starting to get pretty parallel to the flow at this point. even though it really wasn't much. The ride from Xenia to Cedarville is kind of a false flat drag the whole way. So from here on out, it's actually going to be very vaguely downhill, and I'll take that. Downhill, tailwind, can't beat it. So this is why I came out here today. Just steaming along 25, 26 miles an hour, kissing the express train right now. This makes it all worth it. I'm steaming up though. I gotta get this jacket off. I'm spinning out. 110 RPM, 28 miles an hour, zone 2. Good times, man. This makes it all worth it. I've also realized I'm probably not going to get back by the time my parking expires. So the timing is very apt to get this mega tailwind. Purple Monkey Pizza. That means South Charleston. I'm going to roll right through though. I have some calories, I have some water. I'm going to make a stop in London, which should be in about 9 miles. Give me that green. Yeah, I'm not going through that. Oh, somebody's done this before me. There we go. Yeah, buddy. Ba 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 ba. He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. He's Roy Kent, it's Roy Kent. On your left side. Pardon me. So past London, making our way through town. Then we'll have 11 miles to get to the Metro Park. Oh, glass! After the Metro Park, basically home. Be like 20 miles to go. Alright, so through London, not quite the home stretch, but this is very familiar territory. Check out the handling on this bad boy. Galloway Tavern, super duper underrated. Great food, great beer, cheap prices. I'd love to stop there right now, but that's not what we're doing today. So, for another video for another time. Got about 7 miles to go. Even though they're the last 7, they're the easiest 7. So getting blown up the road here. Breath here. So we're into the hilltop, but I mean not like in The Walking Dead, not like that hilltop. No, this one's much worse. Which means we're almost back to my car. So maybe the most death-defying 2 miles are ahead of us. Here we go. That didn't sound good. That's just about it. I don't need to show you guys the Olentangy Trail. I'm just gonna get downtown, and when I get back to my car, we could wrap this thing up. I'm sure I put you through enough already. Big city bow wow, beep beep. Big city bow wow, ooh. About 6 hours later, and 88 miles. Obviously with the flooding, that slowed me down a little bit. So for an $18 bus ticket, a $3 chicken sandwich, $5 for parking, it's $26. I mean, you're gonna underbid any kind of organized Grand Fond du Century for that. So I suggest you guys seek out your own point-to-point route here in Ohio. Using the bus seems to be the best way to do it. I had a lot of fun today. That tailwind is really motivating just to kind of get out and have some fun.
So apologies if you guys couldn't really hear me very well in that last video. I just had my GoPro sitting up on the spoiler of my car there. But I was just thanking you for joining me on this point-to-point ride. If you guys can find a point-to-point ride that is convenient for you to do, whether it's taking a train or taking a bus, I recommend that you do it. It's just a great way to see more of your local surroundings and explore a bit more and have a bit more fun. So thank you for riding with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.